Hi guys, welcome to another episode. This is our very second episode, and I guess this is culture. So, without further ado, without having to do long introductions, I'm sure you know who we are. I'm Mokubela. This is my business partner Edwin. We are from Moed. But without going all the way, let's just get into the straight into the topic of the day. So we've decided that we're going to start reading together. So every day, every month, we'll have a set book that we're reading, and every day we read a chapter. We meditate on the chapter, we discuss the chapter, and we apply the chapter. So it's not so much, when it comes to reading books, a lot of people want to be like, I read it and I finished it in a day. But yes, it's fine. You finished it in a day or in a week, but have you really comprehended the information that you're able to apply it in your business and see that information really become tangible and bring results? So anyway, so we started reading a book yesterday called the 10 Pillars of Wealth. And I was truly fascinated with the second pillar. It says basically building wealth outside the concept of time, where you hear statements like money never sleeps. Success is over time, things around that, and the author takes that and puts it on its head, and he basically says there are two fundamental ways to build wealth. One, you can build wealth over time, and what that basically means is that over time you are able to charge more. So now you have the experience, you have the brand. Now we started off with 150 Rand an hour, and 20 years down the line, you have a bigger reputation in the market. Now you can charge 1,000 Rand an hour. But the problem with that is you are the one doing it. So the interesting part what we're going to discuss today is where he talks about building, instead of building your worth or your value over time, build a system over time that you are not the one who has to do the work. So when you read that, I'll share my view later on. When you read that, what came to mind? What kind of thought process got triggered, especially in this concept of what we're trying to build with Moed and the other businesses we have?
Okay, so firstly, I think the first thing is, as one person, you can only do so much. You can't really divide yourself into different times. You can, if I'm the only one that's doing the work, within an hour I can only do work that will just be for the value of an hour. But once we then have created a system and have people that will be able to do the work, then it's like now an hour that was supposed to be just Edwin's work is now divided into other people. So it increases productivity. It also increases the value we give, even to our time, without having to make it to be centered around one individual, and also skill. You can't have all the skills in the world, So also that's the other thing. You get a diversity of skills when you have a system and you're having other people that are working in the business, and it's not just limited to what you know. And also you can know everything, So
For me, I think what stood out, especially when you talk about the issue of skills, I think about it in the sense that if you build your business as a system, I think like earlier when we were talking, think about a KFC. There's a guy who started working at KFC. When he was working at KFC, he couldn't even boil an egg. He couldn't even do scrambled eggs. But he was brought into a system called KFC that gives him direct instructions on this is how you weigh the chicken. This is how you spice the chicken. This is how long, and this is the temperature of the oil. This is how long it's submerged into the oil and things like that. That consistently he's able to produce the same results over time.
Able to replicate.
Yes, replicated. Yes. So which says to me, when you've built your business as a system, skills are irrelevant. The skills are irrelevant, and in a country where skills are are very scarce.
In actual fact, skill is developed in the system by
in
itself.
the system,
You
100%.
understand?
So it's a thing of saying, for example, especially in our industry, I've realized that with paid media, in South Africa, the skills are in shortage. A lot of people understand digital marketing from a place of social media management. So when you start saying paid media specialist and you are advertising a job, you have a lot of social media managers applying for the job because they think it's boosting.
Yeah.
They don't get that.
You can just manage a page.
Manage a page and just boosting they get few but they don't really get it that paid media advertising or paid advertising is a whole science, understanding algorithms, targeting, all that stuff. And so you realize that the skill set is very minimal, and so the ability for you to scale, if your focus is skills, is very limited because you don't have enough people with that skill to actually scale up that business. That's why you find a lot of agencies tend to be full service. They do anything and everything because you have a lot of people that can do social media, social media management. You have a lot, very few that can do this side of the coin. And so that's why you have very few paid advertising agencies that actually specialize in paid advertising. So for me, when you build when I read that, what jumped out to me is that you are not building a paid advertising agency. You are building a system.
Yeah.
That's the focus changes. Because when you say I'm building a paid advertising agency, somewhat it says I must be the superhero. I must know how to do paid advertising. I must know how to do the content, the copywriting. Equally, I must hire top dollar people.
At the same time, you become the business if you do
Exactly.
it.
Exactly.
It's like one of the guys that we were talking about earlier. He mentioned that a lot of entrepreneurs or people that call themselves entrepreneurs, like a graphic designer who would just be opening a graphic design business, is actually creating a job for himself, not necessarily running a business, because outside him, the business does not exist. It's outside his skill, the business does not exist. If you are sick and you can't make it to work that day, man, you're gonna have a lot of deadlines. And as a creative myself, I know I have had to deal with that, and I've also encountered a lot of designers, a lot of creatives, even in my journey of business. And you're like, this guy, he just disappears, and when he disappears, there's no one to do the work,
Yeah.
And so I think for the most part of it, most people run their businesses as jobs. You just decided not to work for someone else and decided to work for yourself. But if you look at it, you are still just an employee.
Yeah, you just created a job around yourself.
Yeah.
But you see, I think this conversation of building systems, it's not a new conversation. It's something that has been said multiple times in the entrepreneurial space. But I think it's because most people have not, including ourselves, I think we only got it yesterday. It's like, wait a minute. Now we get it. It's like you even start seeing the franchise model totally differently, where you are building a system that you can bring so going back to the skills thing, I think what is valuable with that is that when you build this thing as a proper system that you can bring people and plug them in, it's not so much about skill set, because when they come into the organization, there's a SOP, there's a standard operating manual that shows them in Moed, this is how you sell.
Yeah.
This is how we have a hybrid model where it's a combination of consultative selling and solution selling. This is how you approach a client. This is how you generate the leads. This is how you do your proposal.
Yeah.
This is the first step in the process, which is a discovery call, and how you govern this discovery call. What are the questions that you go? So a person comes in and really has a manual that they're going to follow A to Z. But then the importance now is no longer on the skill. The importance is on the interpersonal skills.
Definitely.
It's now hiring people for work ethic, hiring people for good attitude, hiring people for people with optimistic outlooks
Yeah.
rather than people that are pessimists and they are negative, kind of thing. People that are positive, yes, I bereki, but I will find a solution, People who are results orientated, solution orientated as opposed to problem orientated. Now you start looking at the soft skills rather than the hard skills, because in the process of this guy working this model and this system every day, that guy wa KFC, if he clears it a boiling egg.
Yeah.
6 months down the line, that man better KFC won't do.
Yeah.
They know every Sunday this man is the one who's gonna make us a special KFC at home, because now he has gotten a skill set. Now he understands oil temperatures. Where a person that cooks at home doesn't even think about oil temperatures. When we started like steaks, you start learning medium steak, there's a certain internal temperature. You put it 2 minutes each side and kind of thing, But a person who doesn't know that thing puts that thing right on the pan and then it's hard and chewy and crunchy, and then it's so over time that skill will be developed. But if you hire the wrong people with the wrong attitude and the lack of interpersonal skills, you're going to be stuck with skilled but
lazy.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it.
Yeah, but laziness is a thing. Lazy, entitled, people,
bad attitude,
like people that are just not willing, to learn and. But here's another thing that I think we should also, for the entrepreneur that's just listening to this conversation, how do I then develop a well-proven system? Because I think the other thing about having the system also, it has to be proven, it has to be tested, because you can't give people a system that you want them to replicate, but it has not been proven to actually give results, but it should be something that it has been, you have tested, you have worked on it over time, and you have gotten the same results or even more, and so,
I think, look, there's nothing new in terms of that. I think every entrepreneur has been running their business for a while.
Yeah.
They know the intrinsities of running this business.
Definitely.
For example, if you're a graphic designer running a graphic design company, you know that the first step to an encounter with a client is a brief.
Yeah.
That's the first thing.
Yeah.
Then the second thing is unpacking this brief, then sending a quotation based on the brief. Once the quotation is approved, it's sending an invoice for a deposit. Once deposit is paid, then it's now conceptualization. You know how long usually conceptualization takes you. Then you design your first options, 1 or 2 or 3 options. Then you send it to the client. So you already know a process. The difference is it's in your head.
Okay. So I've just had an interesting thought now. So a system is like the Lazy Makoti book, the recipe book.
Yes, it is.
It's just that, I know sometimes when we use words like systems, some people, they begin to freak out. They're like, yeah, but now I have to, I have to build systems. But it is just that. It's like a recipe book that tells you that this is how you bake a cake. These are the ingredients that you're going to need. This is the time, this is the temperature that you're going to use for the oven in order for you to get a result. And so you cannot have a recipe that you're actually reading and then, you're to explain it better. If I am going to take Lebogang's recipe book and where Lebogang cooks the best oxtail, if I use his ingredients the same way, use the recipe as it is written, I'm supposed to have the exact same oxtail. It cannot taste otherwise, It has to taste exactly the same way.
Oxtail now. Now I'm craving oxtail.
So it's I have to get the exact result that he got when he cooked his. It cannot have some extra raja that was not there. What raja?
6 guy.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, I think the other thing about it is that when you write down you know the systems of your business. It's just a matter of documenting it in a manner that a person can follow. But even when you document your process and your systems, you must write it with the reader in mind. You're not writing it for yourself, you know. Hence, when I'm talking about sales, yesterday I was pretty much working on our sales playbook. And I had to go down into so much detail that myself I get bored because I know it, you know.
Yeah.
But in my head, I'm like, but I'm not writing it for me. I'm writing it for a person who's going to come in as a salesperson for Moed. And I'm expecting them to replicate the results I've made in me building, with us building Moed where it has been, with the sales that I've done so far. There's a formula that I've created, and I've seen that formula working. But equally, your process and your working documents are essentially that. It's a working document. So the fact that you now have a sales playbook as Moed doesn't mean that's it.
Yeah.
Now, when you bring in other people, other salespeople, another person will come and say, hey, Lebo, you know, when we get to the process where we do the proposal and the client, then we send them an SLA, I've realized in that part of the process, we can actually shorten it in the sense that we send the SLA with the proposal so that we don't have an extra step. Then you're like, oh, actually it converts quicker. Instead of waiting for sending proposal, pitching it, and waiting for them to say, yeah, I'm happy. That's the only time then you do your SLAs, instead of sending everything at one go, so that when they approve the budget and the proposal, they are also approving your SLA, which is now the terms and conditions that talk to how you're going to operate as client and service provider. So it's a working document that you improve over time, you know. Now you start recognizing that, okay, our targets now are 5 million a month. 5 million a month consultative selling. It's a lot. Because consultative selling, our current model says the first encounter with the client, we sit down for at least 30 minutes to an hour for us to understand your business. Then based on the encounter, we then create a proposal. But now if our target now gets to 5 million every month in additional revenue, and every client is paying, let's say, an average of 100,000, how much is that? That is 50 clients or whatever the case. That's 50 clients. Now 50 clients, how many salespeople do you need? If your conversion is 20, our conversion is 20%. You know, for 50 clients, how many leads must we be we must be doing? And how many salespeople do you need? Because consultative selling says one client you spend a minimum of 2 weeks on. You know, now we have 4 weeks in a month. We need to sign 5 million rand worth
and get 50 clients.
You see, then now you realize that the consultative thing can't work. So now we need to because of where the business is, we need to now look at how do we shorten this part to ensure that we are funneling in a lot of leads without having to break down the chain. Sometimes it means that now your sales process is longer. You know, so instead of saying 5 million a month, now you can't do that. It's 5 million a quarter. You know, or you're increasing your sales people, whatever. But everything is a working thing. It works together. So the document has to be something that goes and is consistently updated and improved. But the point is, I think for us, when we saw that, you know, building wealth outside the concept of time, that for me was revolutionary. Oh, okay, so it's not dependent on me. You know, like even now I was stressing about my time because there's so much work to do. There's so much work to do, but you can build your business and as a system. And I think the upside to that is you can easily sell such a business, you know, because you are selling a working model. And I think in our industry, most people build their agencies as agencies and not as a working model.
Definitely.
And that is why sometimes you find clients are hesitant to work with agencies because the results are inconsistent. But when you have a working model, like you're saying, that oxtail must always be like this.
Definitely.
Because actually, you know, we always ask ourselves, how is it that Short Left in Soshanguve is always consistent with their food and they do better than the other places in Soshanguve or in townships? I think they have a working model. Because when you look at the kitchen stuff, it always changes, but the food always tastes the same.
Yeah.
You know what to expect when you eat there. I think he has understood that he's not running a food joint. I know. I must actually go check it because now I'm thinking about it. I just said oxtail and I remembered that it's consistent. Every time we are there, you want mohodu. It's the same mohodu.
Tastes the same.
It tastes the same. You even that other place we went, braai meat. Centurion Chisanya.
Oh, yeah.
You know also there it's consistent. Every time we've had the meat there, it's consistent. Because there's a working system. This guy, you tell him I want this, puts on a scale. You know, so every process is, even for you as a customer, it's predictable, you know, and it sets you at ease. And I think also it's about predictability in results as well. Clients know when they do business with a Moed,
this is what they're gonna get.
Exactly.
You know?
Every month. Without fail.
Yeah. And you know, sometimes we think that the more we spend time working, it's actually where the value is. You know, it's like if you can be busy with nothing, you know, and that is why you need to be able to be accountable even to your own time, you know, to say, okay, I've been sitting here for the past 5 hours. Have I brought value? Have I given my time value, you know? And sometimes we think, okay, if I stay at the office for long hours, but you can be busy with nothing. Literally, you can be busy without having any concrete results or even results that you can't even replicate. You can't do it again. You've done it once, but you don't know the steps that you had to follow in order for you to get the results. So it also calls to having to be self-aware, being aware of your time, being aware of where even how the system actually benefits your business, you know.
And I'm just thinking now, the CEO of Telkom, I don't know who the CEO is. The last time I checked, Telkom CEO was Sipho Maseko, so now I don't know who he is. But the CEO of Telkom chances are he doesn't know what marketing campaign is running at the moment. Chances he doesn't know how much the iPhone 15 is on contract at the moment. Why? Because there's a working system. Every department knows what they need to do. The CEO is not stressed if that person is on leave. When are they coming back from leave? There's a system that governs leave. There's a system that governs the human resources. There's a system that governs every part of the business. His job is to look at what is his main focus. And I think if we get out of the small business mentality, where you as the CEO have to have an understanding of everything, you'll never build a great business. Because if you're running, it's like a ShopRite. If you're running a multi-billion rand business, there's no way, my friend, there's no way. You're telling me you want to know how many omos are left. Stop taking. You want to know how many omos are left. You can't. That's why you build systems and you put people in charge of those systems to make sure that this thing is working. And also the nice thing about systems that I've come to understand also is that when something goes wrong, you can easily track because you can track the system. Oh, this is where the issue was, you know.
You don't have to, you know, try to
figure it out. And people lying.
Definitely. So you can hold people accountable based on a system. That this is what is expected of you, but you did not, you know, do what you were supposed to.
It's like a courier company. I remember 2 instances. You book on the system, and you book that they must come tomorrow. They come 2 days later. When you call customer service, like, oh, the person who's supposed to allocate did not allocate. So the person who I'm calling is call center. Chances are they're not in the same building with the people that are allocating deliveries. But because there's a system, this person was able to go and see in the pipeline where was the issue, you know, or your package is lost. They're able to track where exactly things got wrong. And able to see, oh, your package got lost because the last time the package was scanned in, it was at the depot in Durban, but this thing was supposed to be delivered in Northern Cape. What is it doing in Durban? You know, so because it can be tracked where things are. And I think that's the thing about building an effective business and building systems. Because we talk about systems a lot, but I think we have not really, the conversations about systems have not become so in-depth that an entrepreneur can see, oh, okay, I see the advantage of this, not to say you're gonna free your time and not do anything. That's also that's also a lie. But also you come, come up hither. You're in your work. You are at a higher level. Now you are an overseer.
Yeah.
Now you're able to see. Okay. Then here's the thing about leadership that people don't get. As the CEO, I'm the biggest servant of the business. Because my job is to make sure that everyone that's working the system has everything they need to work the system. Yeah. So I'm the biggest servant of everyone. I think that's why even when Jesus says whomever wants to be great must first serve, he was saying this to CEOs, man. If you want to be a proper CEO, you are the biggest servant and you are the one who's going to, the first custodian of the system. You must build the systems and then put people in charge of every point of this system. And then your job, everyone has what they need. Like now we're hiring salespeople. First thing I'm thinking, I need to get them phones, airtime, we need to get them data, get them email addresses, whatever. Because these guys, they can't sit there and say, but Lebo, I couldn't call. I don't have airtime. No. My job is to make sure they have airtime so that I can hold them accountable.
That you were provided with everything you needed.
And you didn't produce the results. And you can't blame the system because I've done the system myself. So that's the beauty of it. Because you can't kid me. You can't, I almost said a very bad word, but you can't BS me, to say that I'm not producing results because of X, Y, and Z. The system that you have been brought into for sales, it's a system I have been using. And because it's a system, it can't be about personality. No, but when you're an open person.
You're an introvert, extrovert.
Yeah, I'm an introvert. What are you doing in sales then? You said you want to do sales, So there's a system that I've been doing that has helped me. There are many times where I'll go into a sales meeting and I don't feel my best. There's points where I'll be even nervous. Or, will we be able to get this deal? But you end up getting the deal anyway because without me realizing I was working a system more than I was relying on my personality or charm or whatever, whether I'm eloquent in English or not, doesn't matter. Apostle says it nice. It's not about English, these things. It's not about English, it's about effectiveness. So the beauty of having these systems, look, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is.
It's a lot of work. That sales thing, I think I slept at 2 a.m. and I'm not even halfway. It's a lot of work because you are doing a recipe. Lazy Makoti will tell you, for this one, you need to chop 4 onions. But she needs to make sure she explains it. That those 4 onions, and not the white ones, the red ones, there's a reason. Finely chopped, You need 1 brick of Norox. So it needs to be very detailed, but also written in such a way that's easily consumable. You can easily look at it and say, okay, this is where I got wrong, I went wrong. But if now you're using a lot of jargon and a lot of unfamiliar sentence structures, and the person's like, what is insipid now? They get stuck on big words as opposed to saying, this is the process and this is how you follow it. And so it takes a lot of time, but it's an investment. Because along the way now we bring in salespeople. I'm like, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. You train them, not to say you just give it to them. You train them to show them, but now they have it as a reference.
Okay. I have a question, and I'm just going to be the other entrepreneur. How do I know when the system I have cannot break me out of a certain ceiling? Financially. How do I know that the system that I currently have is not going to be able to help me scale my business to grow the business itself?
So in this sense, we're talking a sales process.
Yes.
So fundamentally then it means your conversions are low. So it's 2 things, conversions and pricing.
Okay.
Because if your process is you are converting, but you are unable to go beyond a certain threshold in order for you to afford to hire people or to move to bigger offices, whatever, then it talks to 2 things. Your pricing is wrong because your not your markup, your margins are not enough. Number two, you're not selling to enough people. So your conversion again is low. So now this one is easy to solve because it's a pricing issue. So there you need to go back. But equally, I've realized also pricing is not just logical. It's emotional as well and psychological. Because some people are scared of money. People are scared of money. So you stand in front of someone and you say, you know that this thing, for you to do it effectively, it's 50K.
Yeah.
Now you're thinking, 50K, maybe I'm going to chase them away. You know, maybe they're thinking, hey, this guy, and maybe there's someone else who's cheaper. You know.
Do you not think that what brings that, let's call it insecurity, in terms of having to price the worth of your services, is actually brought by not having the system that has been proven? Because I think with time, having a proven system, it also builds up the confidence for you to say, but this thing works, man. You know, I don't have to beg you into it because I am confident that this has been tested. In actual fact, I have data to prove to justify my price. You know, I can be able to show you that this has worked for this, and for the past 5 years this thing has worked and has produced this kind of result.
But that's what I'm saying. Everyone has a system. The difference is one person is not aware of it.
Yeah.
Number two, it sits in your head. So you know it in your head. And because it's in your head, you do it automatically. It's a secret recipe. And you do it subconsciously.
Yeah.
It just flows. It's like riding a bicycle. The first time you do it, you must think about pedaling, or driving a car. You must think about gear changes. Now you're a professional. You just balance. You don't even think about changing gears. It just happens because now it moved from thinking about it to now sitting as a subconscious thing that just happened. So because it sits in your head, or you're not aware that it's a process and you have not documented it, I wish I could show what I've mapped out how our sales process works. When I did that yesterday, when you see it at a glance and the steps that you follow, it's so easy to measure where we're losing people. It's so easy to see, okay, the problem is in our prospecting.
Yeah.
Because we don't have, for example, a market fit matrix where to say, how do we choose the clients we do business with? And that is based on our previous encounters. So now I can clearly say we don't do B2B or B2G, people that speak to government, or B2B that speaks directly to other businesses. It can be B2B, but you're talking to smaller businesses. So in that instance, you are talking to the owner. So we can call it B2C in instance because we're talking to an individual rather than a whole organization where you need to look for the head of sales somewhere. We know exactly, because in our model, how we run our paid ads, we look at lead generation and e-commerce sales. So because of that, we know what kind of businesses it works for, because we've had businesses we've tried and it didn't work, you know. And we know, for example, we're talking about it, new products. New products, we don't want to touch them until they have been they have a track record in the market, because now we have to spend a lot more time and a lot more data and a lot more money.
And usually when you're dealing with clients that have unrealistic expectations, especially with new products, you know, that's why if you want to make it all about money, you would overpromise. And there are certain things that needs to be, they need time to be tested, you know, until you find what works.
Yeah. So going back to the question, so it's a thing of understanding pricing and also conversion. Conversion is in the process. So there's something in your process that is not talking to your market. So it's either the prospecting, so if you immediately start speaking to the wrong people, it doesn't matter the entire process what you do, that person is wrong. So what's going to happen is you're going to negotiate, break your back, bend over. By the time they sign this contract, what was supposed to be 50K a month is 5K a month, but you're still expected to do 50K worth of work. So you always find yourself in a perpetual cycle. You're doing work, you're not making enough money. So either it's in your prospecting or your discovery. Are you asking the right questions to to see if this is really the right person, but also is our solution fitting them. Because prospecting says, are you the right customer? Discovery is that, are we the right solution for the customer? Then it's a proposal. So then you're doing the proposal and. So the conversion is in this. So it's about being able to map out your process and looking at each and everything and going back into the many encounters you had with clients or potential clients and see, oh, the ones that then ask yourself, the ones that converted at the budget that you wanted, what was the difference with them?
What made it work?
Yeah, what made it work versus the other guys? And then you map your process around the guys that made it work. Like for example, with us, okay, I don't want to name the client, but the blue client, the blue client was because of personal connection and then proposal from that perspective.
Yeah.
It was not a cold lead. Usually with cold leads, you have to do so much more work to convince them because they don't know you. So you would equally have to have two separate processes for the cold leads and for people that come through referrals or they know you. A person is watching a video like this and saying, you know what, I love what these guys are saying. I don't want to do it myself. Let me call these guys. Already we have a rapport with that person. So it's just when we come into a chat, I'm like Cindy, when we met with Cindy, we didn't have to do much. It was just to say, okay, Cindy, what is your business? What do you want to do? Who are you reaching?
Yeah. Okay,
this is how we're going to do it. Happy budget, sharp, sharp. Here's an SLA. Because it was already a hot lead based on what she already knows about us. So even with that, it's not a one-size-fits-all. So you must have a process for people who know nothing about you and people who are coming because they know you. You must have a process for people that are coming through organic means like SEO.
Yeah.
And they're going to your website. Like that client, the other client with the red client. The red client, they have two processes. The leads that come through the ads, of which the other day I was actually checking their stuff. They have more leads coming through the website of people seeing them on social media. And they go to the website and fill in their website form. Wow. There are so many leads that come through that versus the ones that were coming through directly from the ads. But also, I guess it's also because the ads stopped in December. But they're coming through. So they can't have the same process for both. It's impossible. And I think their mistake has always been that they were approaching these two leads the same way. Yeah. And it's impossible. That's why you're converting more on this one instead of this one. But technically, you have very good leads.
It just does not work on that one.
Yeah, it just doesn't work on that one. Sorry about that, guys. There's a phone call. But anyway, so the issue of processes and building systems is one that says, number one, as an entrepreneur, you free yourself from the business in the sense that it's not governed by you and it's not on you to make it work. Number two, the issue of systems is to ensure that whatever we are doing in this business is predictable.
Yeah.
It's predictable. So we can predict the result, whether it's the conversion of clients or it's the results for clients. So when we pull leads into this process, we know 20% must convert. Minimum 20%. The moment 20% doesn't convert, then we know there's a problem. So it also it helps also as a radar. I know something is not working here, because you're able to track. And it's also a system of measurement, that what is happening. And I think also that man who was saying that Ray Kroc, when he built McDonald's, his market is not the people are buying burgers. His market is the franchisees, because his product is the system, not the burger. And when you build a system like that, for me, then it makes you really understand who your true market is. Your market, you think, is that guy who needs leads, but maybe not. Okay, for us it's different. Yes, it's that. But it makes you really understand who is it. Like, for example, the guy who makes the I was telling you about him now. He builds these businesses and sells them. Pharmacies.
Oh, yes.
He builds pharmacies and sells them. His market is not people who are coming to buy medication. His market is the business investors that are looking to buy new businesses or whatever, doctors, whoever the market is who buys from him. So even when we build them or wait for selling, our market actually in that instance is not the clients. Our market is the VCs. Our market is the Vusi Tembo. Vusi, come by, please. But you see, our market is the Vusi Tembekwayo, you know, that buy businesses. And so now when you are conscious of that, you are building it totally differently. Because you're not building it for the guy who's creating who's getting the leads. That's the system that works it out. You are building a business for the VC. And when you look at VCs, what is it that they're looking at? Value for shareholders. What does that talk to? Your share price increasing and your profitability and your market share. So now you build this business thinking and looking at this. So you build it totally different when you know who you are building that business for. And that's the value also of a system. And a business with a system sells better. Because whether you are there or not, it doesn't matter. It works. So, yeah, man, I think before we close it off, parting remarks.
No, let me just say this. The system works so that you don't have to.
It works so that you don't have to work.
Yeah. Those are my parting words.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. The system works so that you don't have to work, but doesn't mean laziness. But anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, share this episode with your other friends in business. And if it has been valuable, leave a comment or two. Thank you so much, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.